In this video, we're going to explore how to modify our spline cage to be able to create surfaces for our vehicle that we're modeling. So we built this spline cage, and again, it just kind of really depends on how much detail you and how you kind of break it out. And now I'm at a point where I think I have enough detail in here, or at least have a good idea of how I want to break my vehicle. So I want to start building some surfaces based on this. And we're going to be using lofting, and we're going to be using boundary to be able to create these. Another thing that you need to be mindful of when you're working trying to create the surfaces is that all of these curves you need to make sure that they have the same origin. Now, when I say origin of a spline, I'm talking about this open box that it has at the beginning of the spline. So this one right here, the origin is at the top, and if I go into this one, it's actually right here. So I do want to make sure that all of those origin points are actually kind of in the same direction. So that one is, and this one is. Okay, so if I wanted to do a loft for this surface right here, that's one of the things that I want to make sure it's in order. If for some reason one of these wasn't, I could go to edit curves, alright, and if I click on reverse curve direction, again, we don't really see a change in our curve, but notice that now the beginning of my curve is actually at the opposite side. So if for some reason you want to create surfaces and they're not facing in the same direction, you can always go into edit curves and just reverse the curve direction. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is that these splines need to have a equal number of CVs or curve points in order to be able to create a surface properly. Otherwise, it might give you some kind of weird result. So if I have my attribute editor here and I select one of these, under NURM curve history, it tells me that I have 10 spans on this one, 10 spans on this one, 10 on this one, but the last one's gonna have 4, and perhaps I might not want all of these to have this many spans on them, and I might need this one to have a little bit more. So under edit curves, you can actually reveal the number of CVs that the curves have, and you kind of just select it and then go to reveal curve right here and go to the option box, and probably wanted to have something like 6. Alright, and again, I'm going to be changing these to kind of do the same. So I want them to be those CVs to be uniformal. So basically, it's going to be it's going to have 5 different points on an equal distance. I want to make sure that ends is checked on, and I want to make sure that 3 cubic is selected to make sure that it's a smooth curve. So I'm just going to click on apply, and again, you don't really see much of a change here on my curve. If I go into my control vertices, then you can see that it's actually divided into 6. And if I go into my NURM history, under spans, I have 6. So I want to do the same thing with these. The problem that I'm going to face with these over here is that they were originally drawn as Bezier curves, which are not technically NURM curves. And for me to be able to rebuild them, and again I'm just going to select this one and pretty much trying to apply it, it's going to tell me, it's going to give me a warning saying that the rebuild curve only supports NURM curves, and remove Bezier curves from the selection to continue. So again, it's telling me that since this was drawn as a Bezier, it's not going to be able to rebuild it. So in order to change that, and again, you might not be able to see this hotbox in the monitor, but I'm basically holding Shift and I'm right clicking, alright, and it's gonna give me a submenu that it says that has four different options. I'm gonna be selecting the bottom one that says Convert Bezier to NURMs. And again, I can see it on my viewport, you can't see it on the video, but it's right here. So again, I'm holding Shift and I'm right clicking, and then I'm just going to convert my Bezier curve to NURM. Alright, and by doing that, if I if I go into my rebuild curve option, I can apply it, and it has turned it into, it has rebuilt it in a way that this one, which formerly had 10 spans, now has 6. And I want to do the same thing with these two over here. So again, I'm going to select them both. I'm going to right click, I'm going to Shift, right click, and then go to Convert Bezier NURMs, click on that, and then I want to select them both and then just apply that. And again, if I select this one, each one is going to show that it has 6 spans. Okay, and again, I want to make sure that the origin point, it's basically in the same orientation for all of them, so all of them kind of have it at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and select these 4, okay, and do I'm going to do a loft. Okay, I want to surfaces, and I want to go to loft. Alright, and it's not giving me really the results that I wanted. And again, one of the reasons is because this loft is kind of based on the number of, it's going to base this form on the number of curves that we kind of build it from, and it obviously doesn't have enough another curve here to kind of sustain this shape, so it's not really following along the way it's supposed to. And again, the solution to this problem could be very well me having to go in here and draw another curve, or maybe I can just delete that and see if I can maybe do a boundary by using these 4 curves right here. Okay, and again, same applies to these. We want to make sure that they have similar numbers of spans, at least on the opposite. So you want these two to have similar number of spans, and these two to have similar number of spans. And they also need to feature or need to have the same origin. So if I right click on this and go into my control vertex, let's see, my origin point is right here, that open box. Okay, now I want to double check here on the top, and the origin point for my top one, it's this side over here too, and these two should have the same origin point, but I need to make sure that these two have the same number of CVs, which by selecting them I can tell that this one has 16 and this one has 10. So I'm going to rebuild this one to have 10, just like the bottom one. So again, this was drawn as a Bezier curve, so I need to turn it into a NURM curve in order to be able to rebuild it. So I'm going to hold Shift, right click, Convert Bezier to NURM. Okay, then I'm going to go to my rebuild curve option, and I'm going to bump this to 10, and then I'm just going to apply that. Alright, so now this one has 10 spans and this one has 10 spans, so I can now just kind of select them in order like this, going around, and then I'm gonna go into boundary. Alright, and again, notice that it's giving me a better translation to what the lofting was doing, but it's giving me some really odd geometry on my surface, especially around here. So another thing that I can do at this point to be able to kind of fix some of this, I could definitely right click on it and select an isoform and maybe get rid of something like this, but I'd much rather the Maya tools to kind of take care of that for me, because it's going to be doing a much better job than I could. So I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to go into my edit NURBS, because this is a NURB surface, and I can go into my, let's see, rebuild surfaces. Alright, and it's basically, again, we want to make sure that it's uniform, so everything's kind of evenly spaced in both direction U and V. We want to make sure that, again, they're 3 cubic, so they're smooth. So the number of spans on the U, and again, I'm just going to go ahead and select this and apply it. Alright, and I guess I need to keep a similar number here at the bottom. Alright, so again, notice that it took the geometry that I created, and it basically kind of reshaped the number of spans, and without kind of messing the original shape that I created by creating the boundary. So now it's pretty much a NURB surface that has a same number of spans on the U as it does on the V direction. So 6 by 6, and it's keeping the curvature pretty nicely on it. Alright, so and I've gone and I kind of built this surface for the front of my car. So now I need to go and basically do the same with every single surface in the car, and I need to determine, how I'm going to be able to, how I want to divide this in order to make it into a surface, just like this, and trying to determine which technique would apply better, if doing a lofting or doing something like boundary to create the surface. And again, for something like this, obviously the boundary gave me a much better result, but again, keep in mind that it's going to give you some irregular surface geometry, but you can always go to edit NURBS and reveal that surfaces, so it gives you a little bit something that's a little bit more clean that you can work with. Alright, so this concludes this video, and in the next one we're going to explore basically how to build surfaces for the rest of this vehicle.